Hi guys, good morning. So I thought the class was at 9:45. That's why there was a delay. Okay. Anyways, let me share my screen. But before that, let me download the question paper. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so I see very less friends. I'll quickly go through the question paper. Let me share my screen. I have to be host. Okay. So it is going to take some time. It will take some 2 more minutes for them to make me host. So, anyways, people, how are you guys doing? Right? I think last class we missed. I mean, last week we missed the class because I was not available. Right? So actually, last week it was my birthday, so I was on a trip. I was in Gokarna having a vacation, and that's why we couldn't meet. Right? So, what is going on in your school? Are you writing enough number of tests? People, are you writing enough number of tests? Because I know December, I think what, December 14th is your chemistry exam, right? Are you guys there? Mithun, Nandakishore, Venisha, Harini Harshita, Anirudh, are you guys there?
Sir.
Okay. But so sleepy on a Sunday morning, I understand. Okay. Huh. Let me share my screen. You had practicals last week and now we had a revision exam. We have a revision exam next week. Okay. I'm now on only exams, still term 2. Only exams. Okay. Right. Right. So quickly we will go through this. Substances that are strongly attracted by magnetic field. Okay, substances that are strongly attracted by magnetic field and very permanently magnetized. Right now, please understand this magnetic properties can be of two types. Right, one can be a permanent change, the other can be a temporary change. Right, again, permanent change can be of two types, temporary change can be of two types. One can be, permanent can be say attraction. They can be attract towards the magnet or they can be repelled by the magnet. Temporary, I mean permanent effect. Right. Same way, they can be attracted towards the magnet or they can be repelled by the magnet, again only temporarily effect. Right. So now they're asking strongly attracted by the magnetic field permanently. These are ferromagnetic substances. Okay, strongly attracted by the magnetic field and permanent effect is going to be for ferromagnetic. Paramagnetic will have temporary attraction. Ferrimagnetic, that is different. Okay, ferrimagnetic is different. Diamagnetic is temporary repulsion. TR. Okay, right. So next question: which of the following statement is false? According to Raoult's law, the vapor pressure exerted by the volatile component of solution is directly proportional to the mole fraction of its solution. Yes, this is true, right? Right. Okay. Decreasing order of osmotic pressure in barium chloride. This is from Van 't Hoff factor, which is not included in your syllabus, but still this is true. Okay. Right. Different solution of sucrose have same molality. Molality prepared from different solvents will have same depression and freezing point. Different solutions of glucose prepared from of same molality from different solvent doesn't matter. It is all about same molality. You can see delta TF is nothing but KF into M, right? It just depends on molality, nothing else, right? If the molality is same, obviously whatever be the sucrose solution, it is that the depression and freezing point is going to be same, right? So this is also true. Okay. The osmotic pressure of solution, two different solutions of same molarity prepared from different solvents will have same depression and freezing point. Oh, different solvents. That's the problem. Right? Now you see, obviously when sucrose put in water and sucrose put in ethanol, there will be freezing point depression. How do you put it? Say water, right? H2 has a freezing point at 0 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now, when you put sucrose to this, same molarity, assume you're preparing solution of same molarity. Now say the this thing is going to become minus 1 degree Celsius, depression and freezing point after adding sucrose. All right. Now, if say same thing, if I have ethanol, ETOH, right, and that had a freezing point of say 3 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now I'm adding sucrose to this. Right. Now say it will become 2 degrees Celsius, again decrease in freezing point. Okay. So you'll see the depending on how the solvent is. If the solvent is water, 1 freezing point. If the solvent is ethanol, different freezing point. Right? Even though the molarity is same, say this solution is 1M, this solution is 1M molarity, but still you see that the freezing points are same. Right? So telling that same depression and freezing point, no. Right? Different solvents, different depression and freezing points. So this statement is false. The other statement is true. Osmotic pressure of solution given as pi is equal to C into R into T. C is the molarity. Yes, absolutely. Right? The correct answer would be C. Okay, fine. Which of the following forms 3 series of salts? Definitely, it is going to be H3PO4. See, rest are all boron cannot form. H3PO3 can have only 2 acidic hydrogens, right? And H3PO4 has 3 acidic hydrogens. I hope you remember the structure for H3PO4, B double bond O, OH, OH, OH. Now all these hydrogens can come out as H plus. That means for 1 H plus 1 salt, second H plus second salt, third H plus third salt. right? So option C is the correct answer. Okay, next. In the given reaction, they have given pentene. Oh, let's take this. Fine. So they start with this one. Okay. So they have CH3, CH3, Br and CH2 here, right? Now, if I put OH minus, I'm getting pent2ene and pent1ene as the products. Okay, that's what they're doing. 2-bromopentene reacts with alcoholic AOH, forms two compounds, pent1ene and pent2ene. If one is major and one is minor, obviously we know that pent2ene is major. Sides-of rule, right? The double bond must be found between the carbon and the more substituted. Like you remove Br from this, you can remove either H from this or H from this. Obviously, removing H from this will give me a double bond. It is more substituted. That is more stable, right? So this will be major and this will be minor. As simple as that. The rule is sides of rule. Okay, right. So if there is a formation of one alkene due to availability of more hydrogen, the minor product is pent1ene. Okay, as the lesser number of alkyl groups are attached to C11C. Yes, this is correct, right? The major product is pent2ene, which has greater number of alkyl group attached to C11C. Yes, absolutely right. There is formation of more than one alkene due to availability of more than one beta hydrogen. Definitely true. So the correct answer would be all of these. Right? Okay, next. Which of the following species can act as a strongest base? Right? Now, what we have to understand is basic strength, or you know the concept of conjugate acids and conjugate bases, right? Now, what we have to understand is the strength of acid or base, right, is inversely proportional to the strength of conjugates. Okay, strength of an acid or base is inversely proportional to the strength of its conjugates. What do I mean by this? Is, let me write a statement like this for you. A strong acid will have a weak conjugate base, and vice versa. A weak acid will have a strong conjugate base. Same goes with the base. A strong base will have a weak conjugate acid. A weak base will have a strong conjugate acids. Right? That is what I wrote by this statement. Okay? Strength of the acid or the base is inversely proportional to the strength of the conjugate. If the conjugate base or conjugate base is very strong, the acid or base we are talking about is very weak. Okay, now hope you all know what you mean by conjugate acid or conjugate base. From an acid, say I have HA, some acid HA. From this I remove H plus. Okay, I remove H plus. What is remaining? A minus is remaining. This A minus is my conjugate base. This is my acid. Okay, this is the normal acid. From that I remove H plus to form the conjugate base. Okay, now obviously if the conjugate base is very highly basic, the acidic strength of this acid will be less, and vice versa. Okay, now they are given all these things. Okay, now instead of checking for the basic strength, they're talking about the strongest base. I can talk about the acidic strength, and whichever is the weakest acid would among four, that would have been the strongest conjugate base now, because after removing H plus, like you would have had a H here, right? After removing H plus is the conjugate base, add H, everything, for everything you add H. Okay, so if I add H, I would have had benzene ring with an OH, and in the meta position I have NO2. Okay, that is option A. Option B is ROH, right? And option C would be H2O. I'm adding H plus to all of them. Okay, right? If you add H plus, this will become OH, this will become OH, this will become OHH, that is H2O, right? And C6H5 plus H plus will become C6H6. Okay, right. Now we know this is acidic, right? Phenols are generally acidic. Alcohols are also little acidic. Definitely, I would say the first rank goes to this. Second rank goes to alcohol. Third rank goes to acid, water, which is neutral, right? And a C6H6, it's definitely a weaker base than your water, weaker acid than water, sorry. So the fourth, I mean, I would say the least acidic of all is C6H6, right? So the strongest base of them all is going to be C6H5 minus. Again, I repeat, strong acid, weak conjugate base. Weak acid, strong conjugate base. Now, this is the weakest acid. C6H6 is the weakest acid, right? So C6H5 minus will be the strongest base. Okay, I hope you get this. Very good question. Right. Next, the sugar constituent of DNA, DNA D2 deoxyribose. Very simple, right? Okay. The fraction of total volume occupied by atoms in simple cubic. Okay, you can calculate this. Okay, what will you be getting is 2 into pi r squared is equal to 2a, right? No. A cube. Something. No. 1 second. So you basically get R is equal to A by 2. That's what you get, right? Okay, R is equal to A by 2. That's what you get, right? So I know there'll be 2 spheres. So it will be 2 into pi r cube divided by A cube. Now instead of A, I can put 2r, right? So 2 pi r cube divided by A cube. Instead of A, if I put 2r, so it will be 8r cube. So r cube gets cancelled. So all I get is pi by 4. Do I have a pi by 4? No, something is missing. How many spheres can be there in simple cubic? Can anybody tell me? Guys, can someone tell me how many spheres are possible in a simple cube? Look at your textbooks and tell me.
Sir, by spheres you mean atoms, sir?
No, not atoms. That I know is 1 atom per unit cell. Now, when you would have calculated your packing efficiency from all of the, now how you would have derived at this? R is equal to A by 2 for simple cubic, right? Take that page and check how many cubes, I mean, how many spheres are they putting inside the cube? Okay, you come back to this and all you have to do is the number of spheres into the volume by A cube, and you know R is equal to A by 2. Just substitute and cancel this. That's it. Okay, whatever is remaining, that's what will be the answer. Okay, right, fine. So next question is out of question, which is having the least pressure. It is from Van't-Hoff factor. Okay, so don't worry about it. Right. Next, on addition of concentrated H2SO4 to chloride salt, the colorless fumes are evolved, but in the case of iodide salt, violet fumes comes out. Right. So when I have H2SO4 plus say chloride salt, we take, say for example, MgCl2, right? So what you can get maybe is HCl. These are the fumes, colorless fumes they are talking about. Okay, the colorless fume they're talking about is for HCl gas, right? But in the case of an iodide salt, violet color fumes comes out. Why? Because the violet color fumes are nothing but that of I2. Okay, so how do I tell this? So I need to get I2, right? So what you have to understand is HI. Now HI in this case is -1. The oxygen state is -1. So iodine is 0. So definitely it is getting oxidized. Again, I say, see, Hi to I2, if I check, iodine is in -1, here it is in 0 oxidation state. So this is oxidation, increase in oxidation number, -1 to 0, right? So it cannot be reduced, definitely. So Hi gets oxidized to I2, that is the correct answer. The violet color is because of I2, right? And how I2 is produced? Hi will be oxidized to I2. Now, even though you don't know this, it's very simple, -1 to 0. Okay, right. Moving on. The maximum number of molecules of CH3I that can be prepared, that can react with the molecule of CH3NH2. Now, please understand, if I have CH3NH2, again, this reaction will come in amines, but this can be, okay. I think this reaction is not for you, but still fine. So CH3NH2 with the help of CH3I. Now you see that this lone pair will come and attack here. I minus these. Okay, that's the first reaction. So I can have CH3NH CH3 nucleophilic substitution. Very simple, right? Now I can have one more CH3I coming because again I have the lone pair that can come and attack here, and this bond breaks. So you have CH3N CH3 CH3, right? Now I have a tertiary amine. Okay, now I don't think you know this, but still I'm just telling you. So you have CH3I, one more molecule. Now that can come and react, but it cannot no more react, right? Because nitrogen cannot, basically what will happen is now you will have an acid base, not acid base, a salt like this. CH3 4 times N plus I minus. Now, instead of making the reaction, this is going to happen. I'm going to have this thing donated, right? So you'll form R4N plus, that is CH3 4 times N plus, and the remaining is iodine minus, that is going to form a salt. This is what is called as quaternary ammonium salt, but I suppose that this question is out of series. This question comes in amines chapter, term 2. Okay, but anyways, if you want to answer this question, how many molecules of Hi? One molecule, second molecule, and third molecule. 3 molecules of Hi. Option D is the correct answer. Okay, right. Carbon halogen bond of alkyl halide. Next question. Carbon halogen bond of alkyl halide is responsible for the nucleophilic substitution, elimination, and the reaction with metal atoms to form organometallic compounds because of their polarity. As directly you can tell, CCl bond, I have a del negative, del positive. That is the reason why everything is happening. Okay, right. Next, the major component of starch. Come on, people, what is the answer? Amylose or amylopectin? Major component of starch. Are you guys there?
So I don't think it's part of our syllabus, this question.
Sorry?
I don't think this question is part of our syllabus.
Oh, starch is there, right, in the syllabus. Polysaccharides.
Polysaccharides are deleted, sir. We have only monosaccharides.
Deleted. Okay, fine, deleted. Okay, so if at all you want to answer the question, it is amylose, amylopectin. Okay. Right. Fine. Next, which crystal system has A not equal to B, not equal to C? Orthorhombic. Okay. Now you must know this things. Your different types of Bravais lattices. Orthorhombic, triclinic, trigonal, hexagonal. All these things you have to know what. But these locations are very, very rare. Okay. But I would say don't spend so much time on this. And in this case, they asked it, but very, very rare. Okay. Next.
Sir?
Sir? Yeah.
So what is the answer for 12th one, sir?
12th one is out of question. But
Okay.
the answer is amylopectin.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Fine. The unit of abelioscopic constant. Now, where does abelioscopic constant come, people? Abelioscopic constant comes in delta TB. Delta TB is equal to KB into M. This is your abelioscopic constant or mole elevation constant. This has different names, right? Mole elevation constant, or it can be called as a helioscopic constant, right? Now they're asking me what is the unit. Now I know this is Kelvin, right? Delta TB, temperature is Kelvin. Molality is mole per kg. Okay, now bring this side. So Kb will be Kelvin divided by mole per kg, right? Or I can write Kelvin, kg will go up now because it's -1 goes up +1. Kelvin kg, mole will have -1. So Kelvin kg per mole is what I'm looking at. Kelvin kg per mole. Yes, correct. Got it. Option A. Okay, right. Next. N2O3. N2O3 is an acidic oxide, people. Okay, more amount of oxygen. Okay, and more amount of acidic nature. Okay, acetic acid and anhydride of NO2. No, it cannot be anhydride of NO2. In HNO2, it should be an anhydride of H2N2O2. So D is the correct answer to this question. Okay, not basic oxide. It's an acidic oxide with there is an anhydride of and H2N2O2. Basically, remove H2O from this. Minus H2O. Okay, if you remove minus H2O, what is remaining? Right? I mean, I say it will be what? It will be H. 2H are remaining. Okay, 2H gone. So it will be N2O. That's it. N2O. But all I need is N2O3. I think there's a printing mistake. There should be H2N2O5. Not O5, O4. Okay, there's a printing mistake here. There should be H2N2O4. Now from this you remove H2O, you form N2O3. Okay, there's a small printing mistake here. Please change it. O2 to O4. Okay, H2N2O4. Then only it can be an anhydride. Anhydride means after removing water, what is remaining is N2O3. That's what exactly happens. Okay, right. Next. Grignard reaction should be prepared under anhydrous conditions because directly I can tell it can react with any source of proton to give hydrocarbon. That's the answer. Please understand RMgX. Even if you have traces of amount of H plus, right? This R minus and H plus will form RH. Basically say if you had a CH3MgBr in the presence of H plus, you would have formed CH4. That's what they say. Even it can react with even the smallest source of proton to give hydrocarbon, hydrocarbon, CH4. Here also hydrocarbon, RH. Okay, that is why they have to be stored under anhydrous conditions, right? Because even water is enough. Water is acidic enough to give H plus for this reaction to happen. Very reactive, your Grignard reagents. Okay, right. Next, anisole can be prepared by the action of methyl iodide on sodium phenate. The reaction is called methyl iodide. Look at this. No. Okay, methyl iodide with sodium phenate. Sodium. I think it's sodium phenoxide. Okay, there is nothing called a sodium phenate. It's sodium phenoxide. Okay, right? Okay, fine. So methyl iodide, CH3I plus ONA. Now, what is this? Methyl iodide, and it is going to form what? It is going to form anisole. Anisole is very simple. Anisole is going to be a benzene ring with OCH3. Now, very simple, right? Now, this would have been O minus. This would have come and attack here. This would have gone, and this would have been the product. And the side product would have been NaI because I had a Na here. I minus coming, Na plus I minus NaI. OCH3, this is anisole. All right. Okay, so what reaction is this, people? If I have a Rx reacting with R dash ONA to give ROR plus NaX, what reaction is this? What reaction is this? What is the name of the reaction? This is one famous way of preparation of ethers, right? What is it? Really? Now board exams are going to come and you don't know this reaction? Are
Williamson
ethers?
synthesis, sir.
Thank you so much. Ethers are there, right? They're not related, isn't it? Right? This is your famous Williamson synthesis. Okay. So the correct answer to be this option C, Williamson synthesis. Okay. Next, which one is not the essential? Yo, this is not. How will you remember? Even I don't remember this, guys. Okay, try to remember this. Okay, I know there's something called as essential amino acids, non-essential amino acids, right? Try to remember some of them. Okay, I think valine is an essential amino acid. Check it out. I'm not sure. Check the answer. Okay, these are all our by-hearting questions. You have to by-heart. There's no other way. Right. Next, the sharp melting point of crystalline solids is due to the regular arrangement of constituent particles observed over a short distance. Okay. Same arrangement of constituent particles in different directions. Okay. Okay, this is wrong, right? Because I have different arrangement in different direction. That is why they are anisotropic. Okay, so second option is wrong. Okay, different arrangement of constituent particles in different directions. Yes, this is true. This is isotropic, but that is not the answer to this question. Okay, the sharp melting point is not due to isotropic nature. Okay, next, regular arrangement of constituent particles observed over a longer period of time. Yeah, that is the answer to this question. Okay, there will be regular arrangement over long distance of the crystal lattice. That is why they have sharp melting point. Option B will be the correct answer. Okay, right. Mixing of HNO3 and HCl reaction is, okay, what will happen if I mix HNO3 and HCl? Any idea? Guys?
Exothermic, sir.
Exothermic. Okay. I'm not sure. What are they trying to ask here? Okay, obviously I don't find it endothermic. Endothermic will be violent, right? Because already they are acids. It cannot be endothermic. Okay, so the logical answer, even though I don't understand what exactly is happening, would be to go for exothermic because both are acids. Okay, so if I go for endothermic, that means if you supply more energy, no, that really doesn't make sense, right? Because the reaction will become violent. Okay, fine. Available chlorine is liberated from bleaching powder when what? CaO, Cl2 will give me CaO and Cl2 when? What should I add with this? Actually, not CaO, it is CaOH twice. Okay, so what should I add with this, people? When you go for cleaning your toilets, I don't know whether you have seen your moms or maids cleaning your toilets. Does she just add bleaching powder or anything else she adds along with it to clean? What does she add?
Water?
That's it, water. Just bleaching powder will not do anything, Karna. That's the thing. Okay, I have to add water to bleaching powder. Then only chlorine will be produced, and that is what is made disinfectant or your bleaching agent, whatever you call it. Okay, right? The answer to the question would be it is reacted with water. Okay.
So why not dilute acids?
Is it not dilute acid? No, not required. Right? The available chlorine is liberated when the bleaching powder undergoes the bleaching action. And that happens when I add water to this to form chlorine. That's it. Very simple. Okay.
Yes,
Right. Okay, next. A halogen is used in potential, I think, potential substitutes in surgery. Which one? Do you guys know? Check it out. Okay, these kind of questions, again, very rare, but can be asked. Even I don't know the answer. Maybe it should probably be bromine. Okay, from what I have studied, probably will go in, but please check. Okay, what is the answer to this? Right. Okay. Alcohols are very easily dehydrated in the following order. Now, please understand. Now, you have to know the mechanism for this. Okay. Now, see, R, OH will undergo dehydration. In dehydration, the first step is the H plus will be taken up. Wrong way of putting the arrow mark. The H plus will be taken up by this OH to form ROH2 plus, right? So that is going to form a R plus, okay? And from this R plus, I remove a H plus to form an alkene, okay? So if I can just show you an exact reaction, say for example, if I had CH3CH2OH, okay? Now if I add H plus to this, now that will be taken up. CH3, CH2, OH2 plus. Now water molecule will leave H2O. Look at the arrow shootings, how I'm marking, right? Water molecule will leave minus H2O. You will form CH3, CH2 plus. And from this carbon, I remove H plus, minus H plus, right? To form CH3 double bond CH2. Okay. So all you have to understand is that there is going to be a carbocation formed in the dehydration. Here also you see an R plus. Okay. So more and more stable carbocation will give me faster reaction. As simple as that. Now we already know what is the order of carbocation stability. Tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary. That's it. Blindly you can say. So C is the correct answer. Because in dehydration of alcohol, there is a carbocation formation. More and more the stability, means stability of the carbocation form, more and more will be the reactivity. That's it. Okay, moving on. Monomeric unit of starch out of limits because it is polysaccharide. Okay, right. 4s2 4p3 electronic configuration. I think 3s2 3p3 is arsenic. Sorry, phosphorus. So it should be arsenic. Right, B is the correct answer. 4s2 4p3. Bismuth will have 5s2 5p3. Antimony will have 6s2 6p3. Or I think antimony, then bismuth, whatever it is. Okay. How are they asking us to remember this ferromagnetic, ferrimagnetic substances? Where are they asking this question from? I'm not sure. Which chapter? Okay, a ferromagnetic substance example is Fe3O4. Okay, but don't worry about it. I think it's out of questions. Right. Next. Minimum boiling azeotrope is formed by the solution which shows minimum boiling azeotrope. What deviation, people? Minimum boiling azeotrope will show
Positive, sir.
positive deviation. Very simple, right? So C is the answer. Okay. Now glucose is a aldohexose. We all know the structure, right? CHO, CH, OH, 4 times totally with CH2, OH. 6 carbons and it is an aldehyde. So aldo, hexose means 6 carbon. C is the correct answer. Okay. Right. Next, this is nothing but H3PO4. Okay. So H3PO4 is nothing but phosphoric acid. Okay. And it is orthophosphoric acid. Option A is the correct answer. Okay. Next, liver when okay, again out of syllabus because your chloroform, all these things are not included in the syllabus. Okay. Next, the oxidation state of central atom in the anion of NaH2PO2. Now, what they're asking is, I have NaH2PO2. They want to know what is the oxidation state. Okay, NaH2PO2. Okay, now it's very simple, right? If I just remove this Na plus, okay, if I just remove this Na plus, all I have is H2PO2 minus. Okay, I just remove the Na plus. When Na plus is gone, so minus will come. So they're asking you what is the central metal atom's oxidation state, that is phosphorus oxidation state. So I know it is 2 into +1 for hydrogen, plus X will keep for phosphorus, plus 2 into -2 for each oxygen, right? And overall it is going to be equal to -1. Okay, so it is 2 into 2, 1, sorry, -4 X -2 equal to -1, right? So X is going to be what? +1. So +1 is the answer to this question. So option D is the correct answer. Right? It's simple from 11th class normal, finding out your oxidation states. Okay. Next, glycosidic linkage is found between easy two monosaccharide units. Okay, option A is the correct answer. Okay, not between two polysaccharides. The polysaccharides are formed by glycosidic linkage. Between two monosaccharides, you will have glycosidic linkage. This one, this O, obviously a ring here, glycosidic linkage. Okay, fine. Next, aldehydes react with Grignard reagents to form both primary as well as secondary alcohols. Okay, now we have to understand how is this happening, right? HCHO. When I make it react with RNGX and your H2O, H3O plus hydrolysis, you will form RCH2OH primary. Okay. Now, when you have any other aldehyde other than HCHO, that is, say if you have RCHO and I'm going for R dash MGX and H3O plus, you would have formed RCHOH R dash. That is going to be secondary. Okay. Now, when you had a ketone, if you had a ketone, R C double bond O R dash reacting with R double dash MGX, now you would have formed RCOH R dash R double dash. This is going to be a tertiary alcohol. Okay. So the answer to the good answer would be to give both primary as well as secondary, because methanol will give me primary alcohol. Any other aldehyde other than methanol will give me secondary alcohol. Right? But they have mentioned just aldehydes. I don't know. This question is wrong. But if I were you, I would have given secondary, because only methanol, only HCHO gives primary. All the others give secondary. So I will go for secondary. But again, a wrong question. Okay. They should have mentioned what aldehyde it is. Okay. Next. Solution showing large positive deviation from ideal behavior has delta H mix, positive deviation. Everything should be greater than 0. Okay. So I think the option A is correct, right? Delta H mix is greater than 0 is correct. Okay, next. Lower boiling point than both the components and delta H mix is negative. No, lower boiling point is okay. It will have lower boiling point. Minimum boiling azeotrope it will form, but delta H mix is positive. Okay. Higher boiling point, no. So yeah, the correct answer would be option A. Okay. Next, 35th question. The geometry of XeOF2. Okay. Now XeOF2 will look like this. Okay. First, we'll try to find the steric number here. Okay. So Xe is having 8 valence electrons. So 8 valence electrons, 2 will go with 2 along with oxygen, and 2 more is fluorine, because 1 fluorine, 1 electron. So basically 4 electrons are left out. That makes 2 lone pairs. Okay. So already has 3 bonding atoms, 1 oxygen, 2 fluorines, 3 bonding atoms. Plus I found that there are 2 lone pairs, totally making it 5. So it is going to be sp3 dehybridization. Okay. Right. Now sp3d will have normally TBD geometry, trigonal bipyramidal geometry. This is how it is going to look. Okay, Xe. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, a trigonal axial bond up and down bipyramidal, trigonal bipyramidal geometry. All right. Now I have 2 lone pairs. Okay. Now the lone pairs should be put under your equatorial position. Okay, lone pair will be going under the equatorial position, and when you have a pi bond, high electron density with oxygen, and the other fluorine atoms will go wherever is remaining. Okay, now forget that this is there. What shape you see? You are seeing a T-shaped molecule, is it not? Right? F.
Yes, sir.
And F. That's it. 2 other lone pair. This is like a T. Okay, so the answer to this question would be T-shaped molecule. Okay, moving on. Arrange the following in the order of increasing rate towards nucleophilic substitution. Nucleophilic substitution, please understand. Okay, so for nucleophilic substitution, there should be high electron density, or no, sorry, less electron density. Okay, less electron density. That's what I need to have, right? Because the less and less electron density, that means more and more positive charge I have, more and more will be the nucleophilic center, more and more will be the ability of nucleophile to come and attack this. Okay, right. Now you see CH3 is going to be an electron donating group. Okay, CH3 is going to be an electron donating group. Okay, now in this case also I have an electron donating group. If I have an electron donating group, they will donate electron to the benzene ring or chlorine, right? That will what will happen then? That will increase the electron density. That will increase the electron density. That is not favorable. I want less electron density. Only then the nucleophile already having negative charge will find the positive charge more and come and attack it, right? But in 2 and 3, I have electron donating groups, right? But in 1, I have nothing like that. So 1 has maximum electron density, minimum electron density. So nucleophile will come and attack easily. 1 should be the maximum reactive. See, where is 1 reactive maximum, B or C? Okay, now we have to decide between 1 and 2, right? Now we are talking about inductive effect. Right now, inductive effect will be more pronounced if it is closer. Now it is ortho, it is meta. This CH3 is very close to this chlorine. This CH3 is a little far away from this chlorine. Okay, so the electron density would have been very, very high here. It would have been little high only here because it is little far away. Okay, so where do I have lesser electron density among 2 and 3? 3 has lesser electron density because the electron donating group is little far away from the chlorine. Okay, so 3 would have been the next reactive one and 2 should be least reactive. Option B is the correct answer to this question. Okay, moving on. The following diagram shows. Quickly, people, what is the answer? Quick. What is the answer? I have an electron at the lattice side. I know these are what are called as F centers, right? Okay. Now these F centers are formed in which kind of effect? Okay, it is metal excess defects. Okay, this is an example for a metal excess defect. Okay, so there will be one extra Na plus. So to compensate that, one more electron will come. Okay, right. Anyways, moving on. Alkenes react with water in the presence of acids. Alkenes react with water in the presence of acid to form alcohols. Okay, so they want to know what is the mechanism of this. Okay, now we will look at the mechanism, right? So alkenes, for example, say CH2 double bond CH2. Now I want to take up H plus first, and this H plus will be attacked by the pi bond. Okay, this pi bond which I have, it is going to take up the H plus. Any one of the carbon will take up this, right? So you will form, say, if this carbon takes up the H plus, it becomes CH3. The other carbon will get the positive charge. Okay. Now, if this hydrogen gets the positive, if this carbon gets the hydrogen, this carbon gets the positive charge. Opposite. If this gets the hydrogen, this gets the positive charge. Okay. So CH3, CH2 plus is what I have. Then comes your H2O as a nucleophile. Okay. H2 as a nucleophile will obviously attack the positive center. So you would have formed CH3, CH2, O, H2 plus, right? Now you added a H plus here, you remove H plus from this, minus H plus to form CH3, CH2, OH. Okay, very simple. First step is attack of H plus by the pi bond, right? Formation of carbocation, right? Next, nucleophilic attack of H2O to form this OH2 plus, and at last removal of H plus to form alcohol, right? Eventually the end reaction is what? CH2 double bond CH2, H2O in the presence of H plus is going to give CH3 CH2 OH. This is what you're looking for, and that's exactly what is happening. And but this is your mechanism. Okay, right? So what they're telling, nucleophilic nucleophilic attack of the carbocation, nucleophilic attack of water on the carbocation. Absolutely. Carbocation, nucleophilic attack of water. So option A is correct. Right? Protonation of alkene to form a carbocation. Absolutely. Alkene is there. protonation. H plus comes and attacks to form a carbocation. Yes, option D is also correct. Deprotonation to form alcohol. Absolutely. You have the OH2 plus minus H plus is nothing but called as deprotonation, right? To form the alcohol. So C is also right. So the correct answer would be option D, all of these. Okay, right. Next, in cubic closed packing CCP arrangement, the pattern of successive layers, I know is ABC, 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 right? Directly we can tell. If it was HCP, then it would have been AB, AB, AB. Okay, right. Next, the boiling point of the solvent containing a non-volatile solute is elevated. We have boiling point. So we have to talk about elevation and boiling point. So it's very easy to answer this question. The boiling point is elevated. Elevation and boiling point. Okay. Next, how many moles of oxygen are obtained by, I think we already had this question in some other test, right? How many moles of oxygen are obtained by heating 8 moles of potassium chlorate? Now look at this. KClO3 will give me KCl plus O2. So if I put 3 here, if I put 2 here, 2 here, that is what I have. Okay. So for 2 moles, I get 3 moles. Is it not? For 2 moles of KClO3, I get 3 moles of O2. Now how many moles? 8 moles. That is into 4 will give me this. So into 4 will give me 12. That's it. Okay. So for 8 moles, 12 moles would have got, I would have gotten for O2. Okay. Right. Next, the boiling points of alcohol and phenols are higher than ethers, definitely because of hydrogen bonding. Okay. Hydrocarbons, definitely because of hydrogen bonding. All of these should have come next. Haloalkanes, again because of hydrogen bonding. Phenol and alcohol can form hydrogen bonds, but ether, hydrocarbon, and haloalkanes, haloanes cannot form hydrogen bond. That's why phenols and alcohols have higher boiling point. So all of these is the correct answer to this question. Okay. Next, the thermal stability of group 16 elements decreases in the order, right? H2O should have been the maximum stable, right? So H2O should come first, then H2S, then H2SE, then H2E. Option A is the answer, right? Thermal stability decreases down the group. Okay, why? Because of the difference in size. Oxygen and hydrogen are almost of similar sizes. Sulfur is bigger. Tellurium is very big, but hydrogen is very small. That makes them unstable. Okay, what you have to understand is stability is inversely proportional to the size difference. Okay, lesser the size difference between the bonding atoms, more and more the stability. Now you can understand between O and H, there is small size difference only, so more stability. This you can remember. This you can remember. Stability and size difference are inversely related. Okay, next, vitamins omitted. Right, next, assertion. The HI cannot be prepared by the reaction of Ki with H2SO4. Yes, right, because what happened? The moment you form I minus, no, it can be prepared, right? HI cannot be prepared by the reaction of Ki with H2SO4. Oh, yeah, not possible. Okay, because your H2SO4 is an oxidizing agent. Okay, oops, what happened? Guys, is my voice okay? Is everything fine?
Yes, sir.
I hear you.
Okay. Something happened. I said my OneNote suddenly closed. I don't know what happened. Okay. Right. So HI cannot be prepared by H2SO4 because, say, even though you form HI, okay, but this being an oxidizing agent will make sure that HI goes back to, I minus goes back to I2. Sorry, this is I minus. Okay, it will go back to I2 because H2SO4 is an oxidizing agent. Okay, fine. Now, what reason are they giving? HI has the lowest HX bond strength among halogen acids. That is true. Okay, but above reaction is not happening because of this. Okay, it is happening because of, I mean, H2, because H2SO4 is being an oxidizing agent. That's why it's not happening, even though this is true. Okay, so both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation for A. So B is the correct answer. Right? Next. Tertiary butyl bromide undergoes SN1 nucleophilic readily than N-butyl bromide. Definitely because tertiary carbocation, here primary carbocation, SN1 carbocation is there. It proceeds by a formation of carbocation. Absolutely. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation for A. Absolutely true. Next, vitamin A and D. Next, nitrogen is unreactive at room temperature but becomes reactive at elevated temperature or in the presence of a catalyst. Okay, this is true. Okay, why? In nitrogen molecule, there is extensive delocalization of electron resonance. They're talking about absolutely not. Now, why nitrogen is not reactive is because of this triple bond. Okay, between N and N, there is a triple bond coming. That is why it is very tough to break the bond. Okay, that is why it is unreactive, right? So option A, that is assertion is correct, but the reason is wrong, right? A is true, R is false, C is the answer. Okay, next. In any ionic solid MX, Schottky defect, the number of positive ions and negative ions are same. Definitely, right? You should maintain charge balance. Okay, not only in Schottky defect, whatever be the defect, charge balance should be there. Positive and negative should always be equal irrespective of whatever be the effect. Okay, now equal number of cation and anion vacancies are present. No, it is because equal number of cations and anions are present, not vacancies. Oh, once again, Schottky defect, one cation leaves, then one anion leaves. Yeah, it's correct. Okay, this is correct. Okay, one cation leaves, then one anion leaves in Schottky defect. So both A and R are true. Okay, and R is the correct explanation. A is the correct answer. Okay, Van 't Hoff factor, no. The IUPAC name of CH3 thrice CCl. Now look at this. CH3, C, CH3, CH3, Cl. This is how, okay, this is how we can write the compound, right? CH3 thrice Cl. Okay, now how can I name this? Now you see there are two carbon atoms only, right? So can I write this as one? This will be the first carbon atom, this should be the second carbon atom, no doubt about it, right? Because I'm having, okay, I'm so sorry. I'll rewrite it like this. Okay, so I have CH3, C, Cl, CH3, CH3. Okay, so obviously this is the main chain. Okay, so you can start with this 1, 2, and 3, right? So in second carbon atom, I have chlorine, and in second carbon atom, I have a methyl. You have to follow alphabetical order. So it should be 2 chloro, 2 methyl. Total number of carbon atoms in the main chain is 3. So it is propane. Okay, so where do I have 2 chloro, 2 methyl propane right here? Option D is the correct answer to this question. Okay, next. Again, IUPAC naming, right? Now you see that this is the first carbon atom, this is the second carbon atom. So in second carbon atom, I have 2 methyl groups. Okay, two carbon atoms, second 2 methyl groups. So I should have had 2, 2 dimethyl. 2, 2 dimethyl is only here, right? And obviously the first priority goes to OCH3, right? So 1 ethoxy is what I have. In the first carbon atom, I have OC2H5, that is nothing but ethoxy. 2, 2 dimethyl cyclohexane. That's it. A is the correct answer to this question. Okay, next. I don't have to go through any of that. Among noble gases, the only xenon reacts with fluorine to form stable xenon because it has the lowest ionization enthalpy. That's the reason. Okay, it can easily form cations. Right? Next, XeF6 is expected to be, XeF6 is in +6 oxidation state. So it cannot go to +8, not possible. It can go to +4, +6 and this thing. So it is undergoing reduction. So it can be an oxidizing agent. Okay, it can be an oxidizing agent because it is already in +6, right? It can go to +4 or +2 or whatever it is. So it is undergoing reduction. If it undergoes reduction, then it can be an oxidizing agent. Okay. In the preparation of compound of xenon, Bartlett has taken this particular compound as the base compound. This is because O2 PTF6. Why did they take this? Not because of ionization enthalpy, definitely. Xc and FO2 has same size because of that. Okay, what is the answer given to this question, people? Can you check in your answer keys? Answer keys are not given to you yet. People, are you there? Guys? Hello? Guys, am I audible?
Sir, for me, your voice is breaking, sir.
Oh, the voice is breaking. Okay, I don't know why is this happening. Okay, let me. Is this fine now, or still it is breaking, Kanna?
No, now it's better, sir.
Okay. Maybe I'll close this Google Chrome. Okay, now it should be fine, I guess. Right, guys, is it fine now for everybody? Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Good. Did they give you the answer keys for this question? I mean, for this question paper? Did they give you answer keys?
I don't think so, sir.
Okay. Check this question alone. I'm not sure why they have taken this one. I don't know why are they even asking these kind of questions. Anyways, check this question alone. Okay, I'm not
Are you
sure.
presenting your screen?
Oh, I'm not presenting my screen. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Yeah, right. So for this question, I'm not sure why. What is the use of this O2 PTF6, right? So check it out. Check it in NCERT also. What does this mean? Okay. But I think it's because that Xc and O2 have both same size. Most probably the correct answer. But anyways, check this. Please check this. Okay, right. So I think we have done every question. All questions are solved. Okay. Any particular doubts you have, people? Anything you have in mind? Okay, then we'll stop right here. We'll see next week. If anybody has any questions, they can ask me. They can wait and ask me. Any questions, anybody? Or all of you can leave. Okay.
No doubts,
Thank you so much, people. No problem. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, people. We'll meet again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.